Really happy to introduce Tom. He's a ex-resident in our Department of Orthopedics, and he's gone on. He's completing a fantastic fellowship in sports medicine back at the University of Pittsburgh, which is really one of the top sports medicine fellowships in the world. We're looking to get Tom back here. His talk is going to be performance-enhancing drugs, faster, stronger, higher, and I think probably all of us would love to be able to be faster, stronger, and jump higher. So, show us the way there, Tom.
Yeah. Just a word about PRP. I work a lot with Dr. James Bradley, who's the Pittsburgh Steelers doctor, and he uses PRP on a regular basis, especially with the Steelers who can pay for that sort of thing. He's actually exploring using PRP with several formulations, such as combining it with Haugen, more stem cells. So, I mean, that's the future. He always says that that's the future of orthopedics, orthobiologics. So, in the next decade or so, you'll probably see that this technology is going to advance. So, like Dr. Chao also said, I'm at the University of Pittsburgh right now, taking care of the Pittsburgh Panthers, who are part of the ACC, and also I have the privilege of taking care of the Steelers for a little bit also, until they get knocked out of the playoffs, which they didn't play too well the last game. I'm actually interested to see what they're going to talk about in the locker room, because they've been complaining about the Patriots cheating so much. So I'll be talking about performance-enhancing drugs. It's a topic that's largely been sensationalized in the media as of late. It's a fun topic, and because it's in the media so much, it's helped to raise public interest in this subject. So we'll start with a short video by Brendan Ayanbadejo. Some of you who are NFL football fans will remember that he was a linebacker for the Baltimore Ravens. He also played locally at UCLA.
Today, I have an IV cocktail here. So I'm going to draw this rejuvenation cocktail. All this stuff is legal. There's nothing illegal in here. And personally, myself, I've had at least 8 tests a year for the last 10 years and no bad samples, so I'm doing something right. I do my own IVs. Hopefully I'll get it in one shot. We're flowing and going, and we're feeling good. So this is where we're going. This is the future of medicine, science, and the future of athletes and performance.
Yeah, so this is a testament to how far medicine and athletics have come together to improve athletic performance. And it speaks to the fact that this type of athletic supplementation is not going to go away. In fact, later in the video, he says that this practice is widespread in NFL locker rooms. And I've seen it actually. They have an IV system ready in the trainers' rooms for the NFL players to get this sort of thing. And it shows that there's a need to advance our understanding and science of athletic supplementation. So the goal of this talk is to shed some light on the topic of performance-enhancing drugs. We'll talk a little bit about some of the drugs in this group, and later we'll discuss some of the controversies related to their use. Now, one of the questions that was asked to me when I was first given the opportunity to give this talk was, how does the topic of performance-enhancing drugs relate to you as an orthopedic surgeon? If you go to the AOS website, you'll see that there's an entire page dedicated to performance-enhancing drugs. And it's really evidence to how serious an issue that the AOS considers performance-enhancing drugs to be, especially since orthopedic surgeons, let alone sports physicians in general, will have to treat athletes in some capacity and will have to encounter this type of problem in the future. So what do we mean by performance-enhancing? Performance-enhancing materials can be in the form of pharmacological aids, as you can see here. It can be in the form of mechanical aids, like these. But really, in reality, performance-enhancing aids are common in sports today and are widely used by athletes looking to gain a competitive edge. What they have in common is that they're all ergogenic, which means that they have the ability to help to do work. But we'll be focusing on the pharmacological aids primarily in this talk because they've been central to the controversy in the recent years. Now, the idea of utilizing performance-enhancing substances is not new. The ancient Greeks ingested holistic substances prior to competition during the ancient Olympic Games. Whether these worked or not, that's a subject for debate. The modern era brought the PED regulation into focus as organized sports started to gain prominence in the popular culture. Stimulants were the performance-enhancing drug of use prior to the 1960s. This changed after the 1920s and 1930s when the testosterone was discovered. The potential for anabolic supplementation for boosting athletic performance was clearly shown in the 1976 Olympics with the East German swim team, the women's swim team in particular. The East German women's swim team won 11 out of 13 major swim events during that competition. The Americans who placed second to the East Germans in most of these events complained that they were competing against a group of men. We found out in later years that how true this statement was. In 1998, Ben Johnson became the first athlete to be stripped of an Olympic gold medal for being busted for steroids. He tested positive for stanozolol, which is a derivative of testosterone. So in response to this, the World Anti-Doping Agency and the United States Anti-Doping Agency were created to combat this new threat. But really, performance-enhancing drugs became part of popular culture after the Mitchell Report was released in 2007. This was a list of Major League Baseball players, many of them elite Major League Baseball players that were accused of using performance-enhancing substances. And as you all know, in 2012, Lance Armstrong was stripped of 7 Tour de France medals for being involved in a major doping scandal. So why do athletes use performance-enhancing drugs? These are the 5 major reasons here that athletes might use these drugs, with the top 2 being the most important. In a 1997 survey by Sports Illustrated given to athletes, 2 questions were asked. The first question was, if you could win every competition in your sport by using performance-enhancing drugs and not get caught, would you do it? And the second question was, if you could break every record in your sport by using performance-enhancing drugs, but you would die in 5 years, would you do it? So 90% of athletes said yes to the first. Approximately 50% of athletes said yes to the second. So this shows the incentive of athletic success and financial gain. To put it in perspective, if you win an Olympic gold medal, it's worth more than $1 million in endorsements. And some of you may know that if you break the world record in 100 meters, you get a solid gold medal, a solid gold bar, and real gold, not like 14 K gold, but real gold. So these are some of the drugs that are banned by the International Olympic Committee, and we'll be talking about some of these drugs later in this talk. But in reality, the list of substances that are banned by major athletic organizations is overwhelming. So this is a picture that I took when I was hanging around the Pittsburgh Steelers locker room. It's a poor quality picture because I was sneaking around trying to take pictures with my iPhone, not trying to get caught. But a lot of these drugs I can't pronounce, and I don't know what they do. And I doubt any of the players know what they do either. Some of them had a competition trying to spell these drugs out. I think the loser loses $100 or something. But it really speaks to how sophisticated the science of performance-enhancing drugs have become. So the first drug we'll be talking about are the anabolic androgenic steroids. This is the most notorious PED. Its main effect is to enhance the masculine features of those who take them. As you might expect, males are the primary users of this substance. It has medical use for hormone replacement therapy in males who have low testosterone. But some females use it too to treat postmenopausal symptoms, as testosterone is a precursor to estrogen. If you're an athlete in a major competitive sport, it's highly likely that you either used or been pressured to use performance-enhancing anabolic androgenic steroids. In fact, participation in a competitive sport is a heavy risk factor for using this drug. And as you can see, many athletes begin at a young age. How they work is simple. They stimulate the androgen receptor, which then initiates the transcription of genes which lead to enhancement of masculine features, among other things. There's reasonable scientific evidence that has shown that using these drugs improves athletic performance in power sports by increasing strength and decreasing body fat. On the flip side, there's a large discrepancy in the studies that have shown that endurance athletes actually benefit from this drug. The side effects of anabolic steroids are well known. They're mainly related to the enhancement of masculine and feminine features. They may cause acne, the development of breasts, testicular atrophy, cutaneous striae, and the growth of body hair in unwanted places. They have some serious side effects as well, such as arrhythmias, blood clots, liver dysfunction, and cancer. Probably the poster child for the proven detrimental consequences of chronic steroid use was Robert Hazleton. He was a heavyweight fighter in the 1970s, and he began using steroids on a regular basis after losing to George Foreman in a title match. He won his next 7 matches, but he soon developed complications with blood clots in his legs. And you can see in the bottom picture that in his later life he was confined to a wheelchair after having both legs amputated from complications from blood clots. Creatine is another drug that's very popular among the mainstream audience. It became well known during the 1992 Barcelona Olympics after it was revealed that several athletes were using this to enhance their performance. The NCAA did a recent survey of their own athletes, and they've shown that a fair number of their athletes use this substance. Like most surveys on this subject, that number is probably underestimated. So creatine is created from the breakdown of arginine and glycine, which are naturally occurring amino acids, and then it's stored in the liver as an energy source. Several major scientific studies have shown that creatine does improve athletic performance in several sports, such as weightlifting, track and field, and cycling. But there's a large discrepancy in the benefit that these athletes get from the substance, which has led to the idea that some athletes get more benefit than others, so respond more better than others. For example, weightlifters seem to get the most benefit from using creatine. This is presumably because they have a low amount of creatine in their system, whereas cyclists don't get any, they get very little benefit at all, and that's presumably because they have a high amount of creatine in their system. For the most part, creatine is not associated with any short-term side effects, and because of this, it's not regulated by any major athletic organizations. Now, having said this, the NCAA does have a policy of not allowing the trainers, coaches, or anybody associated with the teams of giving creatine to their athletes. The official position on creatine is best explained in this article. The International Olympic Committee considers creatine to be the equal of food. They go so far as to say that taking creatine is no more different than eating a steak dinner in terms of getting your supplements. And this is even though the long-term side effects are a little unclear in regards to creatine. Human growth hormone is another substance that has become very popular lately. It became very notorious after the Mitchell report, which listed many Major League Baseball players as having taken this drug for performance-enhancing purposes. It has a medical use for treating growth deficiencies in children who lack this hormone. For example, in the top picture you see Lionel Messi. He's one of the most popular, if not the most popular athlete in the world. As a child, he received growth hormone treatments to improve his stature because he lacked growth hormone. Barcelona Football Club actually paid for his treatments, and it's safe to say they got a good return on their investment. So, and as you can see, some NCAA athletes as well as high school athletes have admitted to using this substance. How they got this drug is another subject of debate. Growth hormone is regulated by a negative biofeedback mechanism. It's released from the pituitary gland and then stimulates the liver and other tissues to release insulin-like growth factors, which have an anabolic response. Too much insulin-like growth factor can then prevent the release of growth hormone from the pituitary gland. Now the big question is, does this drug work? Theoretically, if you use this drug as an athlete, you should be able to build muscle much more rapidly, and therefore improve your athletic performance and exercise capacity. But really, there's only one study that's shown that you get any benefit from the use of human growth hormone on athletic performance, and even this benefit was very minimal. Having said that, I've asked an NFL doctor and many athletic trainers whether this drug works, and they all said unequivocally, yes, it does work. And some of them have estimated as many as 30% of NFL players are using this. That's obviously a lot higher than what the NFL reports. The Rock, who you see here, has admitted to using testosterone and human growth hormone to build muscle for his movie roles. Because human growth hormone activates the renin-angiotensin system, it can lead to arthritis, carpal tunnel syndrome, pseudotumor cerebri because of third spacing of fluid. It also has theoretical major side effects such as cardiovascular disease, cancer, and insulin resistance. None of this has been shown, but it's theoretical. Stimulants are the oldest performance-enhancing drug. They work by increasing focus, improving athletic intensity, and in some cases, helping with weight loss. They became very notorious over the past decade after the deaths of 2 professional athletes were linked to ephedrine. For the most part, in the past, Major League Baseball players were the ones who were using this to decrease the reaction time to a baseball pitch. And a fair number of Major League Baseball players are using it today with a therapeutic use exemption for such diagnoses as attention deficit disorder, which in some cases might be a bogus diagnosis. But Chris Davis from the Baltimore Orioles has recently been diagnosed with that, and he's using the substance. How they work is fairly simple. They stimulate the presynaptic receptor to release catecholamines. This initiates a sympathetic response. The side effects, the stimulants have major side effects, and this is related to cardiovascular dysregulation. And because of this, they're banned by the International Olympic Committee and the NFL. The NCAA has a policy of limiting caffeine use by their athletes. Amphetamines have been shown to increase strength, power, acceleration, and time to exhaustion in athletes, and so it does have a positive effect, a very, very beneficial effect in athletic performance. And caffeine has been shown to be beneficial in multiple sports, but most athletes use it to stay awake after not getting the recommended 8 hours of sleep, which normally most of us don't. Erythropoietin is another drug that's gaining publicity due to the high-profile bust in cycling. It's produced by the kidney when it detects that there's low oxygen levels in the blood. It can directly raise the number of red blood cells in your system, enhancing your oxygen carrying capacity. And because of this, it's no surprise that it's very popular in endurance sports. It has multiple effects. However, we're mainly focused on its effect on the hematocrit in this talk. Scientific studies have shown that recombinant erythropoietin raises the hematocrit substantially, which can enhance your oxygen carrying capacity. Prior to the discovery of erythropoietin, cyclists who wanted to raise their hematocrit would inject themselves directly with red blood cells, achieving the same purpose. The side effects of erythropoietin are related to transfusion side effects because it's injected, and cardiovascular side effects, which are obvious. In the first year that it was released, 5 Dutch cyclists died from heart attack. Between 1997 and 2000, 18 cyclists died from strokes, myocardial infarction, and pulmonary embolism. Gene doping has been known since the early 2000s. It was described in detail in the 2004 issue of Scientific America. Its significance is to provide a means for enhancing the production of endogenous factors to improve performance. As of today, there's no evidence that it's being used for performance enhancement in sports. This is a schematic of how it would work. Cells will be extracted from the athlete, and then it will be genetically modified by introduction of DNA to a plasmid or through a viral vector. The cells will then be reimplanted into the athlete to achieve its effect. What gene doping can do is best illustrated by individuals in the past who were born with mutations that have enhanced their abilities. For example, Yiro Matarata, he was born with a mutation in the erythropoietin receptor. This allowed him to have a hematocrit which was substantially higher than his competitors, and obviously it allowed him to outcompete his competitors in endurance sports. He was a 3-time gold medalist in the sport of cross-country skiing. In the picture below, you see a boy by the name of Ryan Hoekstra. He was born with a mutation in the gene for myostatin. This allows him to build lean muscle mass much more quickly than his peers. And in fact, when he was a toddler, his parents noticed him pushing around large pieces of furniture around the house. He's now 13 or 14 years old, and it's going to be, his parents have kept him under wraps, but it's going to be interesting to see what will happen when he competes in competitive sports. So I think that when you read about the literature of performance-enhancing drugs today, from an opinionated standpoint, most perspectives take a stand that performance-enhancing drugs should be unequivocally prohibited because of two reasons. They threaten the health of the athlete because of their side effects, and they threaten the integrity and the spirit of sport. But there are it may surprise you that a small number of individuals actually have advocated for the legalization of performance-enhancing drugs. And they argue that it may help some athletes recover much more quickly from injuries and allow them to return to the teams much more rapidly. And secondly, they believe that sports is entertainment, which it is. You see it, ESPN, one of the acronym for ESPN is, of course, the E stands for entertainment. And they believe that the use of these drugs may enhance the value, the entertainment value of the sport. This phenomenon actually was evident during the 1995 season of Major League Baseball when Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa were engaging in a home run contest. And everybody knew that they were using steroids.